Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. My name is Will Greer. I am the Vice Chair of the Community Policing Advisory Review Board. Thank you all that are in the audience, and thank you to my board members that are here. I will be filling in for Kelly Carroll, our chairwoman. She will be absent today. Before we move on to introducing members, I would like to have Vicki read our town vision statement. Would you go ahead?
Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, and resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, Jeff?
I second.
Okay, you second. Alrighty, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the previous agenda's minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve? Okay. I should have asked for any amendments. Everyone's good with the minutes as written, presented? Okay. Alrighty, with that, we approve the minutes, and I will ask for members to introduce themselves real quick, starting with Scott at that end.
Scott Richmond.
Lindsay Brilliant.
Jeff Vickers.
Kate Cost. Vicki Lamprin.
And our select board liaison, Tom Haley. It is, let me get my timer out, and it's 6:01. We have public comment available. I don't believe anyone signed up to speak. Is there anyone in the audience? Oh. No, okay, thank you. Okay, with no public comment, we will move into reviewing the complaint sent to us by the Bennington Police Department. Let me get that out. Okay, it was submitted as a general citizens complaint report. Members have received the complaint. I believe that was a week ago. It should be available in the packet online for those in the public that would like to review it. I will open up to board members for questions, and if there's anyone that would like to recuse themselves at this time that may have been a witness to the event in question, please state so now.
Hi, I'd like to recuse myself from this as I saw the event happening live.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Alrighty, we'll open it up for anyone that has any recommendations to make on the report at this time, and then we will approve it if there are any such remarks to be had. Okay. I think so. I'm just going to, if there's any discussion, I was just going to briefly say I was able to read through it last night, and I think that it was followed, and I think that they did an excellent job presenting us the information. And yeah, I think I will be giving it approval on my end, but if there's any more discussion that anyone has.
I read through it as well, and I couldn't see where there was any misconduct on the officer's part. It seemed like this person may have wanted to just stir the pot, cause a little trouble at the meeting. An officer was requested, he arrived. The person was given several opportunities to do what was requested of him. He did not. They asked the officer to escort him off the premises. He tried, and the person seemed to be difficult through the entire process. And reading through it, I couldn't see where the Bennington Police Department had done anything inconsistent with what was requested of them and what they should have done.
Thank you.
I guess I'll just agree with what you said in that I think it's fair for a board or a select board in this case to make rules on how the meeting is run, and that everyone follows them equally, and that those rules aren't unreasonable. So it's not odd that they would expect that to happen and those rules to be followed, and then when somebody doesn't follow those rules, for them to have to deal with that. So I think it was clear, and they tried multiple times to resolve the situation, and that wasn't possible, unfortunately.
Thank you. Any more discussion from the board before we move to a vote? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the complaint report as presented to the board?
I move to accept the report as presented to the board.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. And abstentions have been noted. Okay. Okay. Well, that was fast. That was a pretty quick complaint. That was a pretty easy one. Now we're going to move on to the Bennington Police Department update, and we have Chief Doucette with us here tonight. He will be talking about Operation, I hope I can say that, ISAC, Impound Storage and Animal Control. Did I say it right?
Excellent.
Awesome. Okay.
That education at Bennington College is paying off.
Tell my father that, because he would love to hear that.
Well, good evening, everyone. Paul Doucette, Chief of Police and Public Safety Director with the town of Bennington. Tonight, I just wanted to bring everybody up to date on Operation Isaac. And as Will said, it is our impound storage and animal control facility, which is located on Orchard Road. The project was approved by the DRB, and in fact, last week, the Public Works Department went to the location on Orchard Road, prepared the site, and the concrete slab is in place right now for our 30 by 50 dry storage building, which is going to act as our impound facility and storage facility for equipment. At this point, we are awaiting arrival of the building. The building should actually arrive here in the next 3 weeks or so, and will be erected on site in 2.5 days. The building will go up, and the remainder of the building process for that will be done by Monument Electric, as well as our IT director, Nick Cave, and it will be an excellent facility for the police department to use, again, for impounding vehicles, being able to put vehicles inside that are awaiting search warrant review and approval from the court, as well as other things. Our next step after that will be our much needed temporary animal shelter, which will have 6 runs. We're in the process now of just reviewing all of that. That will be built by volunteers from the Bennington Police Department, as well as our Buildings and Grounds Department, and the work will also be done by our Public Works Department. So we're really looking forward to that. We've waited a very long time. We've been asking now for well over 5 years to be able to have these 2 facilities, and being able to pick up stray dogs or dogs that are in need of shelter, animals that are in need of shelter, and be able to have a safe place for them to be is just definitely a step in the right direction. When we first started this project, it was only going to be 3 runs, but then we opted to extend it out the other side and make 6 runs. It only makes sense to do that. So we're actually very excited. We've been looking at other facilities and just making sure that we're on track there. So the fence is in need of repair that currently surrounds the property. We're also going to be working on that. So again, we're very excited for this, and we're looking forward to the buildings being complete. If you haven't, if you didn't get a chance to see my presentation to the DRB, it is online. So our storage building will be 30 by 50. It'll have 4 10 by 10 overhead doors, and we'll be able to move vehicles and equipment in and out of that facility with ease. The animal control facility is going to be 16 by 20, again with the 6 runs, and we're just, I know I've said this 10 times, but we're elated. We're happy that we're going to be able to better serve the Bennington community with these 2 facilities, and we're looking forward to their completion. I'd like to tell you that we will be complete by June 30th. we're going to have to push hard to make sure that that gets done, and it'll definitely be a benefit to the community when we complete that. And I'm happy to answer any questions about Operation Isaac.
Will the site for the building for the animals, will it be all year round? So it'll be warm in the winter and whatever?
Yes.
Correct? And will there be somebody on site
So
for
what
the animals?
will happen is that facility, both facilities actually are going to be monitored by our communications staff.
Okay.
It will have our IT department will be installing cameras in and out. We'll be able to watch the animals around the clock. Our animal control staff will actually go over, walk the dogs, feed the dogs, water the dogs, and make sure that they're safe in that facility. The facility will have dual climate control. It will have heat as well as air conditioning in the summer so that the animals are safe and secure.
Have you considered at all having volunteers to help with the animal care?
We have not considered that yet. Our concern there is access to that facility. Some of the animals that we anticipate taking in may be of evidentiary value, animals that have been abused and things like that. I don't think that's out of the question yet. It's just going to be a matter of how we control access to that fenced-in area, as well as whatever the liabilities would be, because I don't want somebody to go over there as a volunteer and be, bit by a dog that's scared or what have you. What we've been doing, Kate, and for the rest of you and for the people at home, my staff's been amazing over the last couple of years. We've had staff bringing dogs to their homes and providing foster care for these animals, and I think that my staff should be commended for that. And we're not going to stop there. I mean, my staff is still going to go over and visit with the animals and take them for walks in the fenced-in area and make sure that they're well taken care of. And I just want to share with you, I want to remind everyone that this is a temporary shelter. We're not going to house dogs for a long time. We still have our partners at Second Chance Animal Shelter. We have a great relationship with West Mountain Animal Hospital, and they do a tremendous job in helping us find homes for animals, not just in Vermont, but outside of Vermont as well. We've had a couple of animals in the last month or so that left Vermont and have been placed at good homes where people are taking care of the animals. So again, it's temporary. This is not a long-term shelter, and we're still going to seek assistance from our partners in the animal business.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you say temporary, what's the time frame for that?
Well, it's going to depend on the animal will.
Okay.
I just don't want, I want people to understand that, we're not going to house dogs for months at a time. Our goal is if an animal has been abused and we build a criminal case, for example, that we build our criminal case and then we find proper placement for the animal so it can be in a suitable home where it can get the love and attention that it needs to recover. Dogs, cats, they're no different than a human. They suffer trauma and they need treatment as well. And our goal is to move that forward.
Okay, so it could range depending on what the department needs. Is that
yes?
Okay?
How many animal-related calls approximately? Is it like a daily thing, weekly thing? How many dogs do you have to take care of?
Sometimes we've had as many as 3 dogs in our office at one time, running around in the communication center, and then they go home with an officer, we might go a week or two and not have any. Yeah. But then the other piece of this is, if we receive animal complaints and people aren't properly caring for their animals, they're not licensed, people have too many animals at their home. Where we have lacked is a place to store these animals in a safe location until we can get proper treatment for them. And this 6-run facility is going to allow for that.
Cool.
It's going to allow us to pick up an animal, make sure that someone has licensed their animal properly, and things of that nature. So It just depends. I mean, right now, quite honestly, we have a very long list of people in Bennington that have not renewed their dog license at the town clerk's office. And you know, I mean, I'm not going to be harsh about it, but you know, we need people to license their dogs. Sometimes dogs aren't licensed because they don't have rabies vaccine or what have you. And you know, it's in the town ordinance that law enforcement and animal control will respond and handle that. And this is going to give us that opportunity to enforce that ordinance as well.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just curious, what role does Second Chance play in this whole policing of animals?
Second Chance Animal Shelter is a partner with the Bennington Police Department. They do take animals from us when they have space available, and they will help find foster homes, and they'll help us find placement. They're a really great partner, but you know what we find too is that you know especially post-COVID, you know, finding safe placement for animals is difficult. You know, there's a lot of people I think that acquired pets during COVID, and now people are either back to work or the newness has worn off or whatever, but we do struggle to find placement, and this shelter is going to allow us to be able to have animals in a safe location and again, find proper placement for them.
I was just curious about like feeding the animals and all of that, the cost associated with that. Is that a budgeted item, or do you take donations, or how does
So
that work?
that's a great question, Jeff. We are in the process, I mean, we have a line for animal control, and in this upcoming fiscal year, you know, if we exhaust that line, we may, and this is a conversation I've had with Mr. Hurd, we may end up asking the community for some help until we can get and build the next fiscal year's budget. So this is going to be new to us, and as you know, we have to have different types of food for different kinds of animals. You know, so we may look for some assistance. Second Chance may give us that. You know, West Mountain may assist us with that. And I think with our canine unit, we also have a great relationship with 2 dog food companies that may step up. We haven't breached that yet. Our goal was to get the buildings erected and start caring for animals and utilize the animal control line that we currently have. And if it needs to grow, then we'll make that grow when we present the budgets in January of 2025.
Okay, thanks. Do you foresee it as just within the limits of Bennington, or is it also surrounding areas?
No, this facility is going to be for Bennington.
Okay.
I know that Pownell has a very small facility, but and I know that there are other communities in Vermont, we're not going to get specific, that have placed you know, a dog house and a fenced-in area, you know, at their landfills or transfer stations, and that is not what we are about. I want to make sure that these animals are safe and secure and are in a well-ventilated area, and we can go and visit with them at least twice a day. And if something comes up on the you know, on the cameras, we can get in and help the animals if they're in distress or what have you. So, but they'll be visited at least twice a day. You're welcome.
Chief, I know a lot of the dogs you guys get at the station are dogs that have been perhaps liberated themselves from home on occasion.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I've had plenty of dogs, and they're extremely resourceful despite your best efforts. Will it be any more complicated for folks to get their pets back if they're up at that facility versus being at the police station?
It won't be complicated at all. I mean, all of our law enforcement staff are going to have access to that. You know, and once everything is complete and installed and I can come here and put pictures up, or we want to do a field trip, I'm happy to show you how all of that's going to work. I have the plans. I would rather that the building be erected and all the safety and security is installed, and it might be interesting to take take this group and further explain what we're doing. I mean, listen, this is a community policing effort because the animals are going to be, again, safe, and it's not going to be any more complicated for people to get their dogs if they're not licensed. They simply go across the street and they license them with Cassie as long as they've had rabies and they have the necessary paperwork. And then all of the officers will have access, and we can certainly go up to the site and we can release the dog to the proper owner. It's no different than if Second Chance calls us and says, hey, you know, we have placement for that beagle, and let's say that someone just, you know, isn't able to care for the dog anymore, and they've signed off, and we can properly place that animal. It's really going to be a simple process. Yeah, we're not going to make it difficult for people. That's the last thing we want. Scott?
So if the dog isn't licensed, how would the owners go about getting them licensed? Say they haven't had their rabies shots in like 6 months.
So what will happen is the dog owner will be able to retrieve the animal and bring the animal to the veterinarian, and we'll have to follow up with animal control to make sure that is done.
The dogs are not going to be held until, I was just wondering how the whole situation was going to be, if the dog is going to be held until it has its rabies shots, how the whole scenario would play out. But
right.
So they'll basically be given like a warning, you have X number of days to follow up with your vet, get the shot, get the dog licensed, type thing?
That is correct.
Okay.
I mean, it's not, this is not a punishment or a penalty. The penalty would come into play when the person does not follow through and get the rabies vaccination and license the dog. Hence, the animal control staff following up with them. And I can see where people would ask that question, so thank you. You know, but we're not going to make you pay the vet, you know, $250 to do a house call to our facility. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Any more questions from the board? Okay.
Sure.
A comment? Yep.
Sarah Beth Ward, Bennington.
Yep.
So do these animals get to see a veterinarian before they're adopted out? Will they be checked out by, if they're adopted?
So yes, so you know, the dogs before they're adopted out, you know, again, we have that relationship with West Mountain Animal Hospital, and that is who the town of Bennington currently uses for veterinarian services. And all of the dogs that we've adopted out, you know, in the 15 years I've been the police chief, are evaluated. You know, we don't just simply give dogs away. We have chip readers. I mean, the dogs are scanned. We try to find out who the owner is. So I just wanted to put that out. But, you know, the dogs are evaluated. Some of them are treated in the sense that they receive flea baths and they're cleaned up. And so there's a lot more to this than just simply grabbing the dog and saying, okay, you're going to the temporary shelter. You know, so no, so they would be evaluated. Okay?
I guess I have one final question, and it's
Yes.
kind of, I was going to say, I almost asked it, but then I was like, no, but then I felt compelled to. But, you know, we were just talking about the cost, but I'm just curious about the savings. How much, is this going to save anything based on like what kind of cares are being provided, or is this kind of going to be an additional cost to the department to maintain?
No, I think we're definitely, first of all, Will, we used to spend a lot of money, you know, housing dogs at private kennels.
Okay.
And that fell apart, and it's difficult to find housing for these animals. So I think in the long run, if we look back, I mean, at one point in my career, when I was a lieutenant, we had, at one point, we had almost 50 dogs that we took off of a school bus. It was very expensive for the town of Bennington. We were applying for grants so that we could provide care for these animals. The person was bounced from one community in Bennington and Windham County to the next, to the next, to the next. And when that bus got to Bennington, we took appropriate action. We've had carloads of cats that we've had to take custody of, and they had to be seen at a vet, and they had to be cared for. Now, with this, and they had to be housed and things like that. With this 6-run facility, we're hopefully going to avoid expenses. Now, if an animal is really ill and it needs to be at the veterinarian and it needs to stay there, then of course we're going to have that. I mean, we have a budget now to care for animals. I don't anticipate that going up too awful much unless we get into some high-end food that an animal needs or whatever. This is designed to make sure that the animals are well cared for, to make sure that they receive any treatment that they need. But it does get expensive. If we bring a dog to the vet that we find, it gets a flea bath, it gets evaluated, and we can take care of that animal in our own facility, then we're not paying boarding costs at the veterinarian. So I would err on the side of it's going to save money.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much, Chief Descent.
Thank you.
Anyone else has any last-minute things to say? No? We're good? Thank you so much.
And if you don't mind, Will, it's not on the agenda, and I know how this goes, but I just want to tell you all that Canine Stark graduated from puppy school this week.
Oh, good.
And we are really excited about that. I love that little guy. He's like my favorite officer now. And but he's doing extremely well. He's almost 40 pounds already. And he did get his rabies shot this week. Good. Curled up like a little cinnamon bun in my office and took a little nap. He was snoring. And then Jim walked away. Canine, his handler walked away, and he picked his head up and he ran out of my office looking for Jim. So the two of them are bonding really well, and I just have to tell you, I mean, the community support on that is amazing. It still continues to be amazing. And Jim and Stark have been training, and since we're on the topic of animals, and things are going very well. So I appreciate all of you and your support on that, and stay tuned, because I think Stark is going to be a big boy. 40 pounds. So,
yeah, wow.
We'll talk about the dog food. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And that was not off topic at all, especially since we were talking about the animals. So let's move on to the community listening sessions. For the May 8th listening session, I believe, Lindsay or Kate, do you have an update to provide?
You can go ahead, Kate.
Okay. The May 8th was at Turning Point. We had 6 people come to it. I thought it was really, for one, well attended, given how short notice and the fact that we've never done this before. And it was very enlightening, really, because we started out explaining what CPARB was. And it's part of it was the case of animal alphabet soup. We've got these initials going on. People had no idea what it was. They knew the acronym, but they didn't know what they stood for. So, which wasn't that surprising, I suppose. And we introduced ourselves in CPARB, but also then we asked if people understood what community policing was and what they understood it to be. And people generally did not know what it was. So we had to describe that. The way we described it was really how it's implemented in Bennington. The fact that there's all these programs that BPD has done, and for the community, whether that's a backpack program or its presence in the night out, and other things that the police do with the community, engaging with the community. We talked about the relationship that the police force has with the nonprofit sector, substance abuse, mental care, all the rest of that. And then they sort of understood that it's all about engagement, and very different than top-down. which apparently, and I wasn't here, but apparently was sort of the method or process that was used way before COVID. And now all of that's changed. And that they really appreciated the relationship that some of them had had, the contact that they had. So we started out with that question. There were 4 questions, as you recall, that we were going to ask. And all the other 3 questions just were very organic. They just came up in conversation. The event lasted about an hour and a half.
Yeah, about that.
About an hour and a half, and I thought it went really well.
One takeaway that I think from that first listening session was that on the table we had kind of like large Post-its that people could write down questions or comments, and then we could take those with us. And I think that was helpful. People did jot down some things. Also, it was interesting to hear the feedback around increased police presence, the foot patrols. So I think that was some really good feedback, and I'm excited actually to hear from other listening sessions what that feedback is.
Yeah, how that will work, yeah. Does anybody have any questions about the one that we've had? Oh, yeah, very, very much so. That there was a sense that the police cared, that they had observed officers talking to people who maybe had been in trouble, and that they could tell that it was a good exchange, that it was a respectful exchange. Their experiences with contact with officers was really positive.
Yeah, I think in general, I think it was positive.
So that was different.
The majority of the participants were not necessarily employees of Turning Point, but involved in some type of professional way. And so they were able to speak to some of the experiences for the people that they serve, but mostly they were speaking to their own experiences. And it was kind of conveyed that they feel like they didn't have much one-on-one experience with the police, but the people that they are serving in their professional lives do. And so there was a little bit of difference between their own experience and those that were being related to them. But their own experiences were rather positive, yes.
One of the things that we want to make sure we do, because we don't have access to a tape recorder. For those of you who were at our last meeting, the facilitator that presented to us had suggested that we tape record it. But we don't have access to a tape recorder. And we don't have access to any kind of support except ourselves, who would transcribe that. So we're just taking notes. And what we're going to do is we're going to collect those notes. I think I'm going to type them all up. And then Lindsay and I, as members of the research committee, we're going to look at that, analyze, look at themes, get ideas from that after our 4 sessions, and then present it in August. And based on what we find out from there, then we'll make decisions about the fall, and if we're going to have some more in the fall. But the information that we gather from these will inform what we do further on. Okay.
I think my question is, you had the questions. Did you stay on topic with those questions the whole time? No, okay, so I was pretty sure it didn't stay on those topics, but I was just curious, what was something big that came up in addition to the other things you said that maybe, we should think about when going into our sessions?
I guess be prepared to talk a lot about what community policing is and how our police force implements that model. And that it's a model of, I think, Lindsay, you used the word restorative justice, that it's about repairing harm, that this is not an adversarial relationship. This is not an authoritarian relationship. This is about engagement. This is about having a relationship. And that's a very different model of engagement than something that is real top-down and authoritarian in that way. And because it's a new way of thinking about police and authority and law and all that stuff, we had a lot of conversations about that. And that's why I say the other questions came through very organically about, well, do they know how to give feedback? Do they know how to, and what were their contacts with the police? And those other questions that we had.
We were able to move through each question. There was a lot of discussion in each question that kind of went off topic. There definitely was a lot of discussion around housing and housing need, which wasn't exactly what we were there to talk about, but that came up quite a bit.
Yeah, safe shelter. Came up a lot. Whether or not the police department, the officers could go to one of the homeless camps and bring food, kind of thing. And it was like, that's not our role here, and that would really depend upon the situation for the officer, and, paying for that food.
Yep.
So there's all these other pieces of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions,
Yeah.
though? Oh.
Do you have a question,
yes,
or did
yes.
you want to go up?
So glad you've gotten started. Two questions. One, there were 6 attendees. How many CPARB members were there, and what do you expect for the future meetings?
There were 3 of us. Lindsay, myself, and Kelly came because it was the first time, and we wanted to see how things were going. And then we've got another one set up for Saturday. I don't know if Kelly intends to attend all of them, participate in that, but typically we'll have 2 members who will facilitate that. That's the plan, that's our schedule anyway.
Great, and I'm glad that who of you is there will change so that you've each had the experience, and then you can compare experiences.
Exactly.
Then the other one was very interesting, how you opened with a description of what CPARB is. Will that be posted for other people to hear and read, like on the website, perhaps?
I know it's part of our packet, but we'll have to take a look and see if that's something that we can have done.
Because, if you've crafted it, then it's really valuable.
Yeah. We should use it.
Then other people out in the public, when they're thinking, shall I go to this next meeting, they've already got, a little nudge.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Thank you. It's at the Community Cafe at St. Peter's, and Vicki and Scott are going to facilitate it.
Just out of curiosity, Kate, is this what you're referencing
Yes,
for this?
that
Okay.
is,
Do you want
yes.
me to read this out loud for folks, or do you think?
That's up to you, and would you like to hear what we say?
Yeah,
Sure.
you'd like to hear? Okay. Okay, yeah, I thought it might be helpful just to have it out there for folks. So it says, Introduction to CPARB, listening session. Thank you for coming today. One of the goals that CPARB is charged with is fostering collaborative efforts within the community to hear all voices. Not everyone is comfortable coming to our meetings and being on camera. Not everyone is available to attend on the 3rd Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. These listening sessions give members of CPARB the opportunity to go into different neighborhoods around our community to meet and get to know you, and most importantly, to listen and learn. We hope today's listening session will help us foster a sense of belonging and give you a chance to have your voices heard in a familiar, comfortable setting without cameras. And then this is the part you said you didn't have audio, but it says we're asking for your permission to record audio only. This is to help us accurately obtain anonymous information from you. The recording will be deleted once it is analyzed, and only the aggregated results of our spring listening sessions will be presented to the board. Before we begin, do you have any questions? So that was the statement that I'm assuming you guys read verbatim like that,
Well,
okay?
pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah,
Yeah.
not exact.
Except for the typos.
Oh, okay, alrighty, so if we have no other specific comments on the listening session, you want to comment on that, Tortoise?
Quickly, that's an introduction to that session.
Yes.
What I'm thinking of is more the vision of
Oh.
CPARB, the purpose, the goal, the
Sure.
mission, something of that sort.
I know that it's somewhere. We'll have to find it
Yeah,
and make sure
we
that it's
have it.
there.
It's somewhere on
Okay.
file.
But we've got, as I mentioned, we have the one at the Community Cafe, and then Lindsay and I are going to do one at Willowbrook, and then Will, and are you going to do it with Will
Wait,
at?
I have the list here, Kate.
Yeah.
If you want, we
Do you
can
have
read
it
off.
there? Sure.
It's subject to change slightly if someone has something come up last minute and we haven't booked everything out into June. But if people are curious, and this actually goes into one of our updates on the agenda for schedule update, but tomorrow, Saturday, sorry, I'm off on my days. May 18th at 1:30 p.m. at the Community Cafe, it'll be Scott and Vicky. Tuesday, May 21st at Willowbrook Community Room, it will be Lindsay and Kate. And Wednesday, May 29th at Beach Court, it will be myself and Kelly at 4 p.m., I should note.
And then it's 1 to 2 on the 21st.
Which one?
It is the 21st.
Oh, yeah, the 21st is 1 to 2 p.m. Yep. And then the possible dates and locations. I know Vicki and I have been working on this. We just haven't settled any of these dates quite yet with them, but we've got an approval to just pick a date, and we just want to coordinate with Kelly once she gets back in town. We have the BBC and Chamber of Commerce on June 20th. That's, again, tentative. We've not figured that out, the details exactly. Other possible locations include Brookside, Williamsack, Open Arms, Queer Connect, Powers Market, and the Senior Center. Okay. So we went out of order a little bit, but that was the schedule update. For the communications update, I'm assuming that would be Jeff or Scott wanting to give that, or is there someone else that joined that committee and I didn't know? Oh, you guys don't have an update, okay.
There's no real communication
Okay.
update. Jonah is going to change the flyers, take things off the flyer as they are done, complete, and just update it with the next event. He should have, I didn't follow up with him on this, he should have posted an article in the banner on the 8th of May, which I think would take care of what you were looking for, Tortoise, with the definition of CPARB, what we do, what we're all about. And then he was putting a condensed version of that on the town webpage as well.
Okay.
I did see the article, so it was there.
Okay.
Will there be a notice for each of them that's there, just a public announcement in the paper? For some reason, I thought there was going to be, but I haven't seen them.
I don't think he was going to put it in the paper. I think he was going to update the town webpage with the schedule, and then like I said, as the events occurred, he would update the flyer and give us new flyers to hang.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. If there's no more update on the community listening sessions, we'll move into, is there? No? Okay. Next is upcoming agenda items. I don't believe I received a list for any of them that are upcoming, but are there any items that the board would like to include? I'm sure we'll do a kind of a recap of all the ones in May and early June, all the listening sessions, but is there anything that anyone would like to add? No? Okay. Alrighty, and then lastly, we have announcements. Are there any announcements other than of course, the listening sessions that I just rattled off a few minutes ago? Are there any announcements that people would like? No? No? Okay. With that, I guess we can move to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, Jeff moves. Yep. And second? Oh, you're going to second, Vicki? Good. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Okay. We are adjourned, and we will see each other at the June meeting right in this room again.